The stars had watched humanity for a very long time. Deep in the center of the galaxy, the Galactic Council had studied the small blue planet called Earth for over 300 years. They watched humans fight their wars. They watched them build their cities. They watched them reach for their moon and send tiny machines to nearby planets. And they laughed. Primitive creatures, High Speaker Vorn had said many times, they will destroy themselves before they ever reach the stars. The Galactic Council was made of 12 powerful species. They controlled trade, military power, and knowledge across 10,000 star systems. Every new species that discovered space travel came to them eventually. Every single one. And every single one accepted the Council's generous offers of help. That was how things worked. That was how things had always worked for 12,000 years. But humanity did not know these rules. On the bridge of the starship Hongul Dawn, Admiral Tejo stood with his hands behind his back. He was a tall man with gray hair and calm eyes. He had served Earth's military for 40 years. He had fought in 3 wars. He had buried friends and carried wounded soldiers on his shoulders. Nothing surprised him anymore. "Admiral," said Captain Wujin, a young woman with sharp features and an even sharper mind. "We are exiting fold space in 30 seconds. Good, Tejo said simply. The ship shook slightly as it dropped out of faster-than-light travel. Through the main window, stars appeared like scattered diamonds. And among those stars, 17 alien warships surrounded them immediately. Ambassador Hannah stepped forward. She was a small woman with kind eyes, but those who knew her understood that kindness hid a will of iron. She had spent 20 years preparing for this moment. Every night, she had studied alien languages. Every day, she had practiced what she would say. "They are hailing us," Dr. Yunbai reported from her station. She was the ship's chief scientist, responsible for understanding alien communication. Her fingers moved quickly across her console. "I am translating now." The message was simple. Identify yourselves. State your intentions. Do not move. Tejo nodded at Hannah. She took a deep breath and spoke into the communication system. "This is Ambassador Hannah of Earth. We come in peace. We are here to announce that humanity has joined the stars." She said nothing else. No requests. No demands. No fear. 12,000 light years away, High Speaker Vorn received the message in the Great Council chamber. He was a tall creature with blue skin and 4 arms. His species, the Vorath, had led the council for 3,000 years. He had seen many things in his long life, but he had never seen this. "Possible," he whispered. His advisors gathered around him, their faces showing the same shock. "How did they develop fold space technology?" "We detected nothing. No experiments. No failed attempts. They simply ... appeared." "Perhaps they stole it," suggested Commander Drex, the military leader of the Helix Dominion. He was a massive creature, covered in gray scales, built for war. "We should destroy them now, before they become a threat." "No," said Emissary Kella quickly. She was from the Morith Collective, a species known for their diplomatic skills. Her silver eyes were thoughtful. "We know nothing about them. How many ships do they have? What weapons? Destroying one vessel might bring 1,000 more." Elder Tiva, the oldest member of the council, said nothing. She was from a species called the Pale Ones. They were ancient and mysterious, and they rarely spoke. But she watched the images of the human ship with great interest. Vorn made his decision. "We will follow standard protocol. Kella, you will lead a diplomatic mission. Offer them everything. Technology, trade, protection, membership in the council. Find out what they want and give it to them. That is how we have handled every new species. That is how we will handle these humans." Kella bowed her head. "It will be done, High Speaker." On the Hongul Dawn, 3 days passed. The alien warships did not attack, but they did not leave either. Admiral Tejo ordered his crew to remain calm. They ate their meals. They did their work. They waited. Finally, a transmission arrived. Dr. Yunbai translated it carefully. "They are sending a diplomatic ship. Someone called Emissary Kella wishes to meet with us. She says she brings gifts and offers of friendship. Captain Wujin frowned. Gifts? We just arrived. Why would they give us gifts? Because they are afraid, Ambassador Hannah said quietly. Everyone turned to look at her. She smiled slightly. Think about it. For thousands of years, they have controlled every new species that reaches the stars. They give help, and in return, they gain control. But we appeared without warning. We asked for nothing. They do not know what to do with us. Admiral Tejo nodded slowly. So what do? We listen, Hannah said. We learn. And we give them nothing. The meeting took place on a neutral station between the two fleets. Emissary Kella arrived with 20 assistants, all carrying boxes of gifts. She smiled warmly at Ambassador Hannah and spoke through a translation device. Welcome, humans, to the galactic community. We are so pleased to meet you. The Council wishes to offer its friendship and support. We have brought samples of our technology, our medicine, our art, all gifts freely given. Hannah accepted the gifts with grace. She examined each one carefully. She asked polite questions. She smiled and nodded, but she did not say thank you. We are honored by your attention, Hannah said finally. We will study your gifts and consider your offers carefully. Killa waited for more. A request, perhaps. A counteroffer. Something. But Hannah simply stood there, calm and patient.
Ow!
Anything you would like from us? Kella asked. Anything at all? Not at this time, Hannah replied, but we appreciate you asking. Back on her ship, Keela sent a message to High Speaker Vorn. Her hands were shaking slightly as she typed. They accepted the gifts, but made no requests. They showed no greed, no fear, no desire. I do not understand these creatures. They want nothing from us. Vorn read the message 3 times. A cold feeling grew in his chest. In 12,000 years, every species had wanted something. Every single one. What kind of creature wants nothing? For the first time in his long life, High Speaker Vorn felt something he had almost forgotten. Fear, and on the Hongul dawn. Admiral Tejo received a message from Earth. General Daesong, head of the Unified Defense Council, had only 2 words for him. Continue waiting. Tejo smiled. Humanity had waited thousands of years to reach the stars. They could wait a little longer. The weeks that followed were unlike anything the Galactic Council had ever experienced. Normally, new species were easy to handle. They arrived scared and confused. They needed help. They accepted whatever the Council offered and were grateful for it. Within a few years, they became part of the system. Dependent on Council technology and Council protection, but humans were different. Emissary. Kella worked harder than she had ever worked in her 200 years of diplomatic service. She brought offer after offer to the neutral station where Ambassador Hannah waited. Each time, she was certain this would be the one. This would be the offer humans could not refuse. The first major offer was the Technology Exchange.KLA arrived with holographic displays, showing medical machines that could cure any disease. She showed energy systems that could power entire planets without pollution. She presented terraforming tools that could turn dead worlds into gardens. With this technology, Kella explained proudly, your people could live for 300 years. Your sick would be healed. Your planet would be clean. All we ask in return is a simple partnership agreement. Ambassador Hannah watched the presentations with genuine interest. Dr. Yunbai took detailed notes, asking intelligent questions about how each machine worked. Captain Wujin studied the energy systems carefully. When the presentation ended, Hannah smiled warmly. This is very impressive, Emissary. We will consider it carefully and discuss it with our leaders on Earth. Kella waited. Surely they would say yes. What species could refuse such gifts? Is there anything else? Hannah asked politely. Kella blinked in confusion. You wish to consider it? For how long? As long as necessary, Hannah replied. We do not make quick decisions about important matters. The technology exchange was not accepted. Not rejected either, just ... considered. Kella reported back to High Speaker. Vorn, he told her to try harder. The second major offer was the military alliance. This time, Commander Drex himself came to the station. He was the most feared military leader in the galaxy. His Helix Dominion controlled the largest fleet ever assembled. Entire species had surrendered simply upon seeing his ships. Approach, he stood before the humans like a mountain of scales and muscle. His voice was deep and powerful. "The galaxy is dangerous," Drex growled. "There are pirates, raiders, and hostile species everywhere. Your single ship cannot protect your world. Join the Helix Dominion's protection network, and no enemy will ever threaten Earth. Our 1,000 warships will guard your borders." Captain Wujan attended this meeting alongside Ambassador Hannah. She was not intimidated by Drex's size or reputation. She had faced death many times and had learned that the loudest threats often came from the most frightened hearts. "An interesting offer, Commander," Wujan said calmly. "Tell me, how does the command structure work? If Earth is attacked, who makes the decisions? Your admirals or ours?" Drex shifted uncomfortably. "Well, naturally, Helix commanders would coordinate the defense. We have more experience." "I see. And what obligations would Earth have in return for this protection?" "Standard obligations. Contributing ships to joint operations, allowing Helix bases on your territory, following unified military protocols." Wujin nodded slowly. She looked at Hannah, who gave a tiny nod back. "Thank you for explaining, Commander," Wujin said. "We will discuss this with our military leaders and consider it carefully." Drex's eyes widened. No one had ever said they would consider his offer. Species either accepted immediately or were reminded what happened to those who refused. But something stopped him from making threats. Perhaps it was the calm confidence in the human woman's eyes. Perhaps it was the uncomfortable feeling that these creatures knew something he did not. The military alliance was not accepted. More offers followed. The Trade Consortium offered Earth's exclusive mining rights to 3 star systems rich with valuable minerals. The Cultural Coalition promised to spread human art, music, and stories across 1,000 worlds. The Scientific Collective begged for collaboration on research that had been stuck for generations. Each offer was met the same way. Polite interest. Careful questions. And then we will consider it. Back in the Great Council chamber, chaos was growing. "What is wrong with these creatures?" shouted a representative from the mining guild. "We offered them wealth beyond imagination. They must be stupid," growled Drex. "Too primitive to understand what we are offering." "No," said Emissary Kella quietly. Everyone turned to look at her. "They are not stupid. Their questions were intelligent. Their scientists understood our technology faster than most council species. They know exactly what we are offering." "Then why do they not accept?" Vorn demanded. Kella shook her head slowly. "I do not know, but it frightens me." Elder Tiva spoke, her voice like dry leaves rustling in wind. "When a creature refuses food, there are only 2 possibilities. Either it is not hungry, or it knows the food is poisoned." Silence fell over the chamber. On Earth, General De Song reviewed the reports from the Hangul Dawn. He sat in a dark room surrounded by screens showing every offer, every conversation, every detail. His advisors gathered around him. "Sir," one of them said nervously, "the Council is offering us everything. Technology that could advance us by centuries. Protection from threats we do not even know exist. Why are we refusing?" De Song turned to face them. His eyes were hard and knowing. 20 years ago, he said slowly, we began intercepting their transmissions. We learned their languages. We studied their history. We mapped their politics. He stood and walked to a large screen showing the galaxy. "Do you know what we found?" The advisors shook their heads. Every species that accepted Council help is now dependent on them. Their economies rely on Council trade. Their militaries follow Council orders. Their governments answer to Council rules. They are not partners. They are servants who do not know they are serving. He pointed at the screen. The Council has done this for 12,000 years. They do not conquer with weapons. They conquer with gifts, and we will not be conquered. Far away, on the neutral station, Ambassador Hannah received a message from Earth. She read it and smiled. The next day, she sent formal responses to every offer. The technology exchange, we appreciate the offer, but we prefer to develop our own solutions. The military alliance, Earth has defended itself throughout its history. We see no reason to change. The trade agreement, we will develop our own mining capabilities. The scientific collaboration, we have our own questions to answer. Every single offer was politely, firmly, and completely refused. When High Speaker Vorn received the news, he stood frozen for a long moment. Then he began to scream. Possible. No species refuses everything. His advisors tried to calm him, but he pushed them away. In 12,000 years, every newcomer has wanted something from us. Resources, protection, knowledge, something, anything. But humans wanted nothing, and that was the most terrifying thing the Galactic Council had ever faced. The Council Chamber had never seen such chaos. Representatives from 100 species screamed at each other across the Great Hall. Accusations flew like weapons. Alliances that had stood for centuries began to crack. High Speaker Vorn sat on his throne. Watching his carefully built order fall apart, his 4 hands gripped the armrests so tightly that the metal bent beneath his fingers. The Helix Dominion must have threatened them secretly, shouted a representative from the Morith Collective. Drex scared them away from accepting our offers. Commander Drex rose to his full, terrifying height. You dare accuse me? Perhaps your diplomats were incompetent. Perhaps Emissary Kella insulted them somehow. Kella stood quickly. I did everything perfectly. I followed every protocol. The humans simply did not want anything. Impossible. 3 voices shouted at once. Elder Tiva watched the chaos with ancient, tired eyes. She had seen this before, long ago, when she was young. She had seen powerful beings face something they could not understand. They always reacted the same way, with fear, with anger, with blame, but blame would not solve this problem. She raised one pale, thin arm. The chamber slowly fell silent. When a pale one spoke, others listened. Her species was too old, too mysterious, too powerful to ignore. You are all asking the wrong question, Tiva said, her voice carrying through the vast room. You ask why humans refuse our gifts, but the real question is simpler. What do they know that we do not? The silence deepened. Every species in this council accepted our help, Tiva continued. Every single one. And every single one became dependent on us. They needed our technology. They needed our protection. They needed our approval. Within 3 generations, they were no longer free. They belonged to us. Comfortable movements rippled through the chamber. Many representatives shifted in their seats. Some looked away. Perhaps Tiva said slowly, these humans understand something that took me 5,000 years to see. Perhaps they understand that gifts can be chains, and perhaps they have decided to remain free. Vorn shook his head violently. That is ridiculous. We do not enslave anyone. We help them. We guide them. We protect them from their own mistakes, do we? Tiva asked. Or do we simply make them need us? Is there a difference? No one answered. On the neutral station, Ambassador Hannah was preparing for the next round of meetings. She knew the refusals would cause panic. That was part of the plan. Panic made people reveal their true nature. Dr. Yunbai entered her quarters with a data pad. Ambassador, I have finished analyzing all the communications we intercepted from the council chamber, and they are terrified. They cannot understand why we refused. Some think we are planning to attack. Others think we have secret allies. A few even think we are too stupid to understand their offers. Yunbai smiled slightly. None of them have guessed the truth. Duh. Hannah nodded. Good. Let them guess. Let them worry. Every day they spend confused is a day we grow stronger. Captain Wu Jin entered next. Her face was serious. Admiral Teho asked me to inform you. The council has started moving ships. Small movements, Nothing aggressive yet, but they are repositioning their fleets. Military response to diplomatic failure, Hannah said. It was expected. Should we be concerned? Hannah thought for a moment. Not yet. They will not attack without understanding us first. That is their weakness. They need to understand. They need reasons. They need everything to fit their expectations. She smiled, and we do not fit. In the council chamber, the debates continued for days. Theories multiplied like viruses. Perhaps humans had technology that made council ships obsolete. Perhaps they had already allied with enemies in the outer regions of the galaxy. Perhaps they were not even truly biological, but artificial beings without desires. Finally, Vorn made a decision. We will send investigators to their home system. We need information. We need to understand these creatures. They will refuse our investigators, Keela pointed out. Then we will watch from a distance. We will scan their planet. We will intercept their communications. We will learn everything about them. Drex grinned, showing rows of sharp teeth. And if they catch us watching? Then we will learn something else, Vorn replied. We will learn how they respond to being watched. We will learn if they are truly as confident as they seem. The investigation ships were small and fast. They slipped through space toward Earth, staying far enough away to avoid detection by normal sensors. But humanity's sensors were not normal. General, Daesung received the alert within hours. Sir, 3 alien vessels have entered our outer system. They are maintaining distance and running scanning equipment. Daesung smiled. Good, let them watch, sir. I said let them watch. In fact, make sure they see everything. The officers around him exchanged confused looks. Everything, sir? Even the... everything. The alien investigators watched in growing shock as Earth revealed itself. Massive shipyards orbited the planet, constructing vessels at impossible speed. Defense platforms surrounded the system, thousands of them, each armed with weapons the Council had never seen before. Underground facilities showed heat signatures, indicating massive industrial production. But the most terrifying thing was the signal traffic. Millions of communications, perfectly encrypted, flowing between Earth and hidden stations throughout the system. Humanity had not built one ship. They had built an empire's worth of infrastructure, hidden for years. Waiting, the lead investigator sent a frantic message to Vorn. Hi, Speaker. They knew we were coming. They wanted us to see. They have been preparing for years. Maybe decades. This is not a primitive species. This is a trap. Vorn received the message and felt his heart stop. For the first time, he truly understood. Humanity had never stumbled into the stars. They had planned their arrival perfectly. They had studied the Council for decades, learning every weakness, every pattern, every protocol. They knew exactly what offers would come and exactly why those offers were dangerous, and they had prepared. What have we been negotiating with? Vorn whispered. Elder Tiva appeared beside him, as quiet as a ghost. Not fools, she said softly. Not primitives, and not victims. You have been negotiating with something you have never faced before, High Speaker. What? Equals. The word hung in the air like a death sentence. On Earth. General Daesung watched the alien ships retreat at maximum speed. He picked up his communication device and sent a message to Ambassador Hannah. They have seen enough. Time for the next phase. Hannah read the message and took a deep breath. The next phase would change everything. There would be no going back. She looked out the window of the neutral station at the stars beyond. Somewhere out there, the Galactic Council was, facing a truth they had avoided. For 12,000 years, you cannot control what you do not understand, and you cannot understand what refuses to need. You, humanity, needed nothing from the stars. And that made them more dangerous than any enemy the Council had ever faced, because an enemy could be defeated, but an equal. An equal had to be respected, and respect was something the Galactic Council had forgotten how to give. Ambassador Hannah stood before the full Galactic Council. She was alone. No guards, no assistants. Just one small human woman facing hundreds of alien representatives in the largest chamber in the known galaxy behind her. Holographic recorders captured every moment. This message would be sent to every world and council space. Every species would see what happened here. Every being would hear what she was about to say. High Speaker Vorn sat on his throne, trying to appear calm, but his four hands would not stop moving. His eyes kept darting to the doors, as if expecting human warships to crash through at any moment. "You requested this meeting, Ambassador," Vorn said, his voice strained. "The council has agreed to hear you speak." Hannah bowed her head respectfully. Then she raised it and looked directly at the High Speaker. "For the past 2 months, you have offered humanity everything. Technology, protection, wealth, power, and we have refused every offer. You want to know why?" She paused. The chamber was completely silent. Not a single being moved. "The answer is simple. We know who you are." A ripple of confusion spread through the representatives. Vorn leaned forward. "What do you mean?" 23 years ago, Hannah continued, Earth intercepted its first transmission from space. It was a trade agreement between the Morith Collective and a species called the Vang. We did not understand the language at first, but we are patient people. We learned. She began walking slowly across the chamber floor, her footsteps echoing in the silence. Over the next 2 decades, we intercepted thousands of transmissions. We learned every major language in council space. We mapped your trade routes, your military positions, your political alliances. We studied your history. Representatives began whispering to each other. How was this possible? They had never detected any interception. We learned about the Vang, Hannah said. 300 years ago, they were a proud species. They had just developed space travel. They were full of hope and ambition. Then the council found them, and the council helped them. She stopped walking and turned to face the assembly. The council gave the Vang medical technology. Within 50 years, every hospital on their world used council equipment. They could not repair it themselves. They could not build more. They had to buy everything from council suppliers. Vorn opened his mouth to speak, but Hannah continued. The council gave the Vang military protection. Within 100 years, they had forgotten how to defend themselves. Their warriors became ceremonial figures. Their weapons became museum displays. When a pirate fleet attacked their outer colonies, they had to beg the Helix Dominion for help. And help came. For a price, Commander Drex shifted uncomfortably in his seat. The council gave the Vang trade agreements. Within 200 years, their economy was completely dependent on council markets. They grew the crops the council wanted. They mined the minerals the council needed. Their own needs came second. Always second. Hannah's voice grew harder. Today, the Vang are still alive, but they are not free. They have no real military. They have no independent economy. They have no voice in galactic politics. They exist because the council allows them to exist. Nothing more. She turned in a slow circle, looking at representatives from dozens of species. The Vang are not special. The same story has been repeated hundreds of times. Every species that accepted council help became dependent. Every single one. In 3 generations, proud civilizations became client states. And the council grew more powerful with each new servant. High Speaker Vorn finally found his voice. These are lies. We do not enslave anyone. Every species joined us willingly. Yes, Hannah agreed quietly. That is the genius of your system. You do not conquer with weapons. You conquer with kindness. You do not break spirits with violence. You soften them with comfort. By the time a species realizes what has happened, they cannot survive without you. The chains are invisible, but they are real. Silence fell again. Many representatives could not meet Hannah's eyes. They knew she was speaking the truth. Some of them had suspected it for years. They just never wanted to admit it. Elder Tiva spoke, her ancient voice cutting through the tension. You say you know who we are, human, but you have not answered the real question. Why are you here? If you understand our system so well, why did you come at all? Why not stay hidden? Hannah smiled. It was not a cruel smile. It was almost sad. Because hiding forever is not living, she said. Humanity wants to explore the stars. We want to meet other species. We want to learn and grow and build things we cannot imagine. But we will not sacrifice our freedom. To do it, she reached into her pocket and pulled out a small device. Dr. Yunbai's voice came through. Clearly, transmitting data package now, holographic. Displays appeared throughout the chamber, documents, recordings, financial records, military reports. 23 years of evidence showing exactly how the Council controlled its member species. This is everything we have learned, Hannah announced. Every treaty that favored founding species, every trade agreement that trapped developing worlds, every military protocol that kept young species weak. We are sharing this data with every planet in Council space, not as an attack. As an offer, Vorn jumped to his feet. An offer? What kind of offer? We are offering the truth, Hannah replied. For 12,000 years, the Council has operated in shadow. Today we bring light. What species do with this information is their choice, but they deserve to know. Chaos erupted. Representatives screamed. Some demanded the human be arrested. Others called for war. A few quietly left the chamber to send messages to their homeworlds. But Hannah stood, completely still in the center of the storm. Admiral Tejo's fleet waited at the border. 12 ships now, with more coming every day. They were not many compared to the Council's thousands, but they were enough to make a point. We are not afraid. On Earth, Janelle Desong watched the chaos through intercepted feeds. His officers stood around him, tense and ready. Sir, one of them asked, what happens now? Desong considered the question. Now they have a choice. They can try to destroy us and reveal themselves as the tyrants we have exposed. Or they can accept that things must change. And if they choose war, Desong looked at the screen, showing Earth's defensive systems. Thousands of platforms, hidden weapons. A population of 8 billion who had been training for this. Possibility for a generation. Then they will learn what it means to fight a species that has nothing, to lose and everything to protect. In the Council chamber, Ambassador Hannah spoke one last time. We did not come here to destroy you. We did not come here to replace you. We came here to offer something new. True partnership. True equality. A galaxy where species help each other because they want to, not because they have to. Where different is respected, not controlled. She looked directly at High Speaker Vorn. You can be part of that future. Or you can fight against it. The choice is yours. But know this. Humanity will never kneel. We will never beg. We will never need you. And because we do not need you, perhaps someday we can truly be your friends. She turned and walked out of the chamber, leaving chaos behind her. The Galactic Council had ruled for 12,000 years. They had never faced anything like this, and they had no idea what to do next. The data spread across the galaxy like fire. Within days, every species in Council space had seen the evidence. 23 years of secrets, exposed to the light. On the Moreth homeworld, crowds gathered in public squares. Representatives who had served the Council for centuries faced angry questions from their own people. Why had they accepted treaties that favored the founding species? Why had they given away their independence for technology they could have developed themselves? On 100 other worlds, similar scenes played out. Species that had been content for generations suddenly saw the invisible chains they wore. Some denied the evidence. Others demanded immediate change. A few began quietly building their own ships, their own weapons, their own future. The Galactic Council had never faced rebellion before. They had never needed to. Their control was so complete, so subtle, that most species did not even know they were controlled. But now they knew. High Speaker. Warren called emergency meetings every day. He made speeches about unity and tradition. He promised reforms and improvements. But the damage was done. Trust, once broken, does not heal easily. Commander Drex had a simpler solution. His fleet gathered at the border of human space. 50 warships. The most powerful force in the galaxy. Enough firepower to turn Earth into a dead rock. Destroy them, Drex urged Vorn. Destroy them before they destroy us. One strike, and this problem disappears. Vorn was tempted. So very tempted. But Elder Tiva stopped him. Look at your fleet, Commander, she said quietly. Look carefully. Drex turned to the tactical displays. His 50 ships faced humanity's 12. An easy victory. But as he watched, something changed. Ships from the Morith Collective appeared. Not many, just 5. But they positioned themselves beside the human fleet, not against it. Then ships from 3 other species arrived. Former client states. Species that had served the Council obediently for centuries. They did not have powerful weapons. They did not have advanced technology. But they had made their choice. They chose to stand with humanity. If you attack now, Tiva said, you will not be fighting humans. You will be fighting rebellion. And rebellion, once it starts, is very hard to stop. Aldrex growled in frustration. So we do nothing? We let these primitives dictate terms to us. They are not primitives, Tiva replied. That was always our mistake. We saw what we wanted to see. We believed what we wanted to believe. And now we face the truth. For 3 days, the fleets faced each other. Neither side moved. Neither side spoke. The galaxy held its breath. Then General Daesong made a decision. Open a channel to the Helix flagship, he ordered. Full transmission. Let everyone see. The channel opened. Admiral Tejo appeared on screen, facing Commander Drex directly. Commander Tejo said calmly, you have 50 ships. We have 12, plus whatever friends have joined us. By pure numbers, you would win a battle today. Drex nodded slowly. Then you know you cannot defeat us. I know I cannot defeat you quickly, Tejo agreed, but I can hurt you badly. And while we fight, what happens to the Council? What happens to your precious order? Every day this conflict continues, more species will question your authority. More worlds will demand freedom. You might destroy Earth eventually. But can you destroy every planet that now sees the truth? Drex had no answer. We do not want war, Tejo continued. We never wanted war. We want something much simpler. We want to be treated as equals. Not servants. Not enemies. Equals. The communication ended. But the message was clear. 1 week later, High Speaker Vorn requested a private meeting with Ambassador Hannah. They met on the neutral station, alone in a small room. No recorders. No witnesses. Just 2 beings trying to find a way forward. Vorn looked older than he had before, tired. The weight of 12,000 years pressed down on his shoulders. What guarantee do we have, he asked quietly, that humanity will not simply become what we were? If we reform the Council, if we give everyone equal power, what stops you from building your own empire? Hannah considered the question carefully. She respected it. It deserved an honest answer. None, she said finally. You have no guarantee. Just as we had no guarantee when we came to you. Just as no species ever has guarantees about the future. Vorn closed his eyes. That is not reassuring. It is not meant to be reassuring. It is meant to be true. Hannah leaned forward. High Speaker, for 12,000 years, you tried to control the future by controlling everyone in it. You believed that order and safety required obedience. But what you built was not order. It was stagnation. Your technology has barely advanced in centuries. Your culture has stopped growing. Your spirits have become small and frightened. She gestured toward the window, toward the stars beyond. The galaxy is vast and full of wonders. There are discoveries waiting that we cannot imagine. There are possibilities we have not dreamed of yet. But none of that can happen if everyone is controlled. Progress requires freedom. Growth requires risk. Life requires the chance to fail. Vorn opened his eyes. And if we fail, if your equality leads to chaos and destruction, then we face it together, Hannah said simply. As equals, that is what partnership means. Sharing the victories and the failures. Not controlling outcomes, but facing them honestly. Silence stretched between them. Finally, Vorn spoke. My people have ruled for 3,000 years. It is all we know. All we have ever known, and perhaps it is time to learn something new. 1 year later, the Galactic Council ratified the new compact. The old treaties were cancelled. New agreements were written, reviewed by representatives from every species, ensuring no hidden traps. The founding species lost their special privileges. The client states gained true independence. It was not easy. Old habits died hard. Many species struggled with freedom they had never experienced. Some made mistakes. Some fell into chaos before finding their footing, but they were their mistakes to make. Their chaos to resolve. Their future to build. Humanity accepted observer status in the Reformed Council. They would not become full members until the changes proved lasting. Trust, Admiral Tejo reminded everyone. This must be earned over time. Captain Wu Jin was promoted to Admiral, commanding the Second Human Exploration Fleet. She led her ships into unknown space, searching for new wonders and new friends. Dr. Yunbai established the first true exchange program. Humans learned from aliens. Aliens learned from humans. No conditions. No hidden costs. Just knowledge, freely shared. General Daesong retired to a small house by the ocean. He spent his days fishing and watching the sky, knowing that the stars were a little safer because of what they had done. An ambassador. Hannah stood before the United Earth's Assembly, delivering humanity's message to the galaxy. For 12,000 years, the galaxy was built on a lie. The lie that safety requires control. The lie that order requires obedience. The lie that help must come with chains. She paused, looking at the faces around her. Humans of every nation, every background, every belief. United not by force, but by choice. We did not refuse the Council's friendship, she continued. We refused their chains. There is a difference. Friendship is freely given. Chains are not. She smiled, and for the first time in years, it reached her eyes. Now, let us see what we can build together, not as masters and servants. Not as controllers and controlled, but as equals. Different species, different worlds, different dreams, but equal in dignity, equal in worth, equal in the right to determine our own future. The assembly erupted in cheers far away, in the Reformed Council chamber. Elder Tiva watched the transmission. She was ancient, older than almost anyone alive. She had seen empires rise and fall. She had witnessed the birth of the council, and now watched its transformation. A younger representative approached her. Elder, do you think this will last? Do you think equality is really possible? Tiva considered the question for a long moment. I do not know, she admitted. The future is not written. It never was, despite what we pretended. But I know this. For the first time in 12,000 years, I feel something I had forgotten. What is that, Elder? Tiva smiled, a rare expression on her ancient face. Hope, and across the galaxy, a new chapter began. Not perfect, it's not easy, but free, and sometimes freedom is enough.